But we're here to talk some linebackers. Let's start with we're gonna talk about two guys this pod. Last pod we only did one, and we're gonna do two because that's what Nick told me to do. So he the boss, and that's what we're gonna roll with. So the first guy, linebacker from Kentucky, Jamin Davis, and you want to go first on him, or you want me to kind of kick it off? And
you can lead on him. I'll go first on the other guy.
You're gonna take my favorite prospect? That's kind of dirty, bro. I knew you was gonna do that. I should have just told you to go first and just
I'll start with Kentucky. I'll start a little bit with him.
Go ahead. I think you may be a little different on him, so I think that's gonna be fun. Maybe not. We'll see though. Let's go.
All right, so I'm just reading down my notes. I think he's a really good run defender. He's explosive going downhill. He diagnoses plays really well. He gets off blocks well. He's a strong, big body guy. He, and all those traits really show up for him. He's not going to get caught up in the wash or anything. Like he can be the forceful guy in some of those situations. Whereas with some of this, I think linebackers and Wills especially, league wide, the average weight for those guys starting will linebackers is 234. But I think if you probably looked over the last 5-6 years, that number is probably closer to 225. Like they've gotten smaller, and he's kind of like in that bigger mold. I think he's explosive. He's good in coverage. I saw him follow some wheel routes up the field, and it was just no issue at all. Like he can get down the field really quick, and he's fluid in his movements. He drops well. He can turn and go really well for a guy his size. I think he's a really good athlete, and he time well. The one thing that I didn't like about him, and look, he has sideline to sideline, and he can get up and go when he wants to, but there's times where it looks like he's not moving as fast as he should.
You don't play up to his play speed, you think?
Yeah, sometimes.
Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes he hits it, and other times it's like, why is this guy like he should be going? Like it looks like he's just not going 100%. But overall, scale 1 to 10, he's a 7.5, 8 to me. I think the one thing that scares me about him is that he's a little bit inexperienced. He has 1 year of good tape, but he is what he is, and I think there's a lot of upside with him, and I think he's really good right now.
But yeah, I'll get started on my my take on him. So I'll be honest with you. It took me some time to kind of like figure out exactly. Yeah, there we go. That's the one that I saw in chat. Yeah, it took me some time to figure out, like, to get my evaluation on him. Right, he was like one of those guys where I had to keep watching him, watch some more tape, watch some more plays, because and with a linebacker, there could be plays where it's running away from him, things are not coming his way, just things are not moving, and you really can't really get a feel for the player. And that's kind of what that's why I struggled with him at first. And so I try not to we try not to give each other too much of an evaluation, because it's kind of good to get in a live reaction. But I text you, I was like, not really feeling it. And then you liked him. I was like, dang, okay, this is gonna be fun. But then I put on that Florida tape, and that Florida tape is wild. That Florida tape is wild. I mean, that game against Florida, he was like, that's a first round player. Like when he ran with Kyle Pitts up the seam, I was like, wow, okay, like he can do that. He can do that. And I didn't get to see him play a lot of man coverage in the beginning of the first games I was watching. I was like, I don't know if he can do this. But then I saw him make some plays and covers down the seam. I mean, his speed it shows out on tape. That play against Kyle Pitts, he flipped his hips like it was effortless. Like he didn't even try. Like he was running one direction and he just flipped him and was moving like he was born to do that. So athletically, he's everything that you want in a linebacker. Like he has it, right? I mean, he's got size. He's not one of these small linebackers. But you get the speed, the range, you get all of that with it. So that's the first thing that stood out. Like he matches today's NFL, right? And that's the first thing I give him. I thought that I think I feel a little bit different about him in the run game. I think that he has times where he flashes and where he hits a guy. Like I've seen him like hit a guy and the guy stops moving. But then there's other times I'll see him where I think he'll kind of have his eyes in the wrong place. He'll maybe be in the wrong gap at times. But I think that's just the nature of him being only playing a position for 1 year. And I don't think it was egregious enough to where it's a problem, but I don't think like playing a run is like a super strength of his, but I think it's something that could develop. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's like my favorite player for them in round 1, but I would understand the pick because I think he could develop into be as good as he want to be based on like his skill set and how he fits the current NFL. And the important thing is I think he can match up against like those athletic tight ends. And that's important, right? Because he's a big player. I think he's 6'3", 230, 235 or something like that. And he can run and he has loose hips. So the skill set is there. Everything that you want out of a player with high upside is there. And you would like to think that with him being young to the position that he can continue to grow into it. And maybe he's just scratching the surface. So those are just like some initial thoughts I had with him.
Yeah, I don't think I ever saw him get exploited in the run game though. Like I don't think he ever opened anything up for anybody. And I do think like when you watch, I think that there's a thing I do when I watch linebackers and you're watching 150 plays in a row. Like it's you can fall into the thing like, oh, this guy isn't making enough impact, or it's a position where you can get a false sense of
That's
the
so
player
true.
by
That's so
kind of
true.
like watching too much. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think the nature of the position that, you know, there are going to be times where like the running back makes a good cut and you get caught. Like it's going to happen. It's just, you know, is it an epidemic thing? I don't think it is with him. He will probably get better at it.
Yeah.
I also think this player and the way they use him is a perfect example of why you shouldn't try to evaluate a player off a TV tape, because a lot of the stuff he did, like
Man,
he'd kind of be sitting like it in a zone, and then like someone would come through a zone, then that's when he turns and goes, and like you aren't seeing the turn and go on the TV tape. It's just like he kind of just dropped out of the zone, and you aren't going to see that. So
that's so true, bro.
Yeah.
I'll let you kick it off. But the next guy we chose to watch is linebacker from Notre Dame.
Jeremiah
Owusu-Koramoah.
There you go. I'm going to call him JOK from here on forth. But yes. Yo, I listened to like people say his name like 8 times in preparation for this, man. Like I had to,
Owusu-Koramoah. I was the same. I'm going to get this guy's name right.
So my very first note, this guy does everything.
Woo.
Covers the slot, deep zone, blitzes. He does everything well. His movement in space is absolutely incredible.
I'm sweating.
He weighs 221. Quan is listed at 227. Modern linebacker profiles changing at this position. We just kind of discussed this. He's a little light, but his explosiveness makes up for the lack of size. He has good tackles. Some have put a good tackle on Najee Harris. So, I mean, I don't think this is really a significant issue. I think to some degree his tackling is a little bit, there's a little bit, you know, a little bit of a strength issue, but it is, I don't think it's like,
what's the kid?
The LSU linebacker we looked at last year.
Patrick Queen from last year.
Yeah.
Didn't want nothing to do with the running game.
It's not the same. It's not the same issue with the tackling, although they're the same size. Yeah. I don't think it's, so like if he was like hitting like Latavius Murray open field, like I think there could be, you know, if he's flat and doesn't have a running start, like yeah, maybe there's a little bit, but I think he's gonna make a good hit on the guy. Like I don't think it's a big issue, but there are times where I think his tackling could leave something to be desired. But look, he isn't missing a ton of tackles. Like Quan misses a ton of tackles. He's still a very useful linebacker. So you can give up a little bit there and kind of cover it up. Great instinct, sees the field well, diagnosability is really high. He knows how to fill gaps and makes the right decisions. And, you know, I think his scheme flexibility is off the charts. You can put him literally anywhere. You can cover a slot receiver. He's going to be able to cover tight ends.
Yeah.
You could play him as a deep safety. He's a will linebacker. Like he can do everything. And if you wanted to keep him affixed to linebacker, I don't think it's, you know, I've seen people say, oh, maybe he's more of a safety. I think he can play linebacker. I think he could play safety.
Me too.
I don't think it's really like I don't think it's like he doesn't have a position. I think he has 2 legitimate positions.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I think he could maybe even be a slot receiver. I mean, a slot cornerback at times, man, the way he moves.
Yeah. So again, that's the main thing. I don't think it's like, you know, I think sometimes people get scared with these players where they're like, well, he can do like 8 different things, but like he can't really do one thing. No, this guy does a lot of things really, really, really well. Yeah. So yeah, he's man, he's up there. I'm like, I like this guy a lot.
So my scouting report on him is yes. That's all I got to say. Because, bro, listen, like, I text you, I was like, this dude's different. I was like, he's different. Like, when he took his first step, I was like, he's moving different than everybody else on the field. I think the first tape that I watched, sometimes these guys that they do the film and they circle the player, right? So they show you where he is. And this one, I think the first one I watched, I want to say maybe it didn't. And I just knew, I was like, this has got to be him. Like, this is, I mean, I've heard about him and I hadn't read any scouting reports. I try to listen to no one's opinion about a guy before I watch him, right? And then, I'll read something to see if I miss something. But when I saw it, I was like, yo, this guy moves at a different frequency than everybody else on the field. Everything he does is explosive. Like, I think this guy, like, if he would have been 2 inches taller, 3 inches taller, maybe, I think he would have been an elite pass rusher, straight up. Like, I think he could be like
the blitzing was crazy.
Oh, bro, I think he'd be an edge bending, like DeMarcus Ware turning the corner, like, and this is gonna sound a little crazy, but I'm not comparing the players. I'm just saying, like, something that I noticed when I saw them both on film. I remember when I first watched Myles Garrett when he was at Texas A&M, and the way he moved as a pass rusher, I was like, this guy's he just moves a little different than everybody else. Like, he had this flexible Gumby like body. I don't know what to say it, but he just moved a little bit different. And when I watched JOK, that's what we're gonna call him, I got the same feeling. I was like, he's just moving like at a different frequency than everybody else. Everything you said, I agree with it. You can play him anywhere, slot, overhang, stack. I mean, he lined up on the line of scrimmage. And you see a player like this, he's 216. And I'm like, okay,
221. Well, he weighed in at 221 at his pro day.
Yeah, but he didn't play at 221. He gained.
Well, I mean,
weight
he's gaining weight. Yeah,
he played at like 216, 210 or something, I think.
Yeah, and I think he has the frame to even add like a little more weight.
So, absolutely. Yeah. But I didn't see a guy who lacked physicality or nothing like that. I didn't see a guy who I'm saying, okay, this is going to be a smaller linebacker who can't deal with the contact of the game. Like, do you remember that hit? What's the one where he came off the edge and hit that guy and, like, I think, gosh, it was Florida State. I mean, he put the Florida State linebacker like in another planet. Like, I mean, he almost took the guy out the game. That Florida State tape is probably like that may be his best tape that I saw. But I don't know. I mean, he's just good, man.
So, man, we got to do some interviews in person for the first time, and
that's right.
2 years. I don't know how long it's been. A year, I guess. A year plus. It's been a really long time.
That's a good point.
But yeah, no, that was good, man. So yeah, and look, I thought it was at least somewhat informative too. I wish we would have had a little more time.
Yeah.
Normally there's an hour-long meeting with Peyton at the owners' meetings. Obviously, that didn't happen this year. There's time with him at the combine. Obviously, that didn't happen this year. Got about 15, 20 minutes today. Hit on some broader topics, draft topics. I thought there were a couple of informative things. Him saying that cornerback was a must position. Obviously, that's something we all see, but that's confirmation of it.
Right.
He really reiterated his confidence in the quarterbacks they have right now. I still think that door is open to some degree, but it's not a must. And I don't think we would have considered it a must either. You can go forward with the guys you have. Yeah, the last thing though is him just saying that some of the biggest areas in need were or the deeper positions in the draft. Deeper positions in the draft for tight end and offensive line.
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't be the Saints if they didn't, draft an O-line. They're going to definitely pick an offensive lineman in the first round. drive Saints Twitter like just absolutely crazy. It's so funny, man. Like, so I had someone ask me, it was like, Kevin, like, and I remember it happened last year. Like, how do you feel about them drafting the O-line in the first round? I'm like, I'm fine with it. Like, if that's, that's who they like. I'm not one of those guys who watch a player fall in love with them and then like lose my mind when the Saints don't draft them. I just think, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's healthy for me. So typically I'm cool with whoever they draft because I can understand it, right? And I guess my approach is like, I don't have to agree with the decisions that they make. I just have to understand the decisions that they make. And that's where I kind of draw the line, right? If they do something I can't explain it, then maybe a little rant is warranted. But if you could see like what they were thinking, look, man, I think that's the best way to approach it.
When they draft someone, normally I don't have like a hot take on it either. Like it's like, okay, we'll see how this works. Like it's the same thing. Like it's just kind of, you see how the process plays out. Like I have guys I like in every draft, but they don't take them fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. You know what? It might mean there's something wrong with my evaluation. Like, let's just see how it plays out. Like, exactly. I'm not arrogant enough to think that like every player I like is the right player and every player I dislike is the wrong player. It's just, maybe I'm wrong and I'm going to wait and see how it is. And then I'll evaluate it as it goes along. But to be like that passionate about it, that's just not
weird. Yeah. It's a little,
it's just not the way I go about. Oh, they reached. Well, did they?
Did they?
I don't know. Where did the Bills have this gentleman ranked? Like, you just don't know.
No, I'm with you. The crazy part is like the draft is like, if you get a draft pick right, say there's a player and you like them, you watch his tape and he turns out good. You like at least 50% of every evaluation that someone makes, and I'm just talking like guys who are not associated with a football team, is guesswork. It's totally guesswork because if a guy's good, that means he ended up most guys ended up in the right scheme in the right place, right? There's probably a lot of good players who would have been good if they were in a different situation, right? So first and foremost, two, like the stuff that we don't know is the most important part, is like how a guy is wired, right? So say I'm a defensive player and I am in love with anime or something crazy or video gaming, and that don't come out in evaluations, but the tape looks great. Well, once I get my money, if I started becoming addicted to gaming, that's hard to pick up, right? The tape could still be good, but there's things that you just don't know about a player if you're not able to interview him. So, a guy may hate football, right, but just want to do it enough to make money. Like there's so much stuff that people on the outside looking in, like we don't have access to. So I think anyone, if you're guessing at best, right? It's just guesswork. And for football teams with more information, they're guessing too. So, I'm not one of them dudes who get hung up on like, oh, I got this guy right, I got this guy wrong, because I don't get trophies for it. No one cares. Even though I bring it up on here sometime for jokes. But yeah, I'm with you. I just don't know if it's like worth it just to be like, oh, well, you like this player, you didn't like this player, so you're bad at this. It's like, what's the purpose, man? It's just.
I'm gonna make like one of the weirdest podcast flexes of all time. But I was about to say when you were done talking, like, yeah, like look, sometimes you get guys right, and sometimes you have like embarrassing draft takes. And I was like gonna say like, yeah, like Michael Thomas, but in 2015, the player I wrote about from that draft, I said I think this is the best pick they made in this draft was PJ Williams, and I was like gonna say that was wrong, and then I just looked, and it's like he really might have been the best.
He really might have been the best player.
Pete, Stephon Anthony, Kakaha, Grayson, PJ Davis-Tall, Tyler Davison. Wow. Might have been a better pick than him. Pete was probably, technically a better pick than him.
He got the second contract.
Jamin, Marcus Millie. Yeah. PJ's gotten like 9 contracts, so
he got like a lot more than Andrews Pete. That's a good point. That's funny.
Like a ton of 1-year contracts. But yeah, no, like he really might have been like he's the second best player from that class, probably.
That's pretty